Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
It's time for the Bonnie Sher Show, a whirlwind of wit, wisdom, celebrity, and the boomer life. With a little bit of this and a lot of that and so much more you don't want to miss, here's Bonnie.
Well, hello there to all my new friends and my old friends and you guys who are close by, you guys who are far away, and all you guys. I'm Bonnie Sher, and I am going to be your host today as I take you on a little trip and guide you through the worlds of entertainment, through the wonderful boomer generation, and, of course, my time of being a type 1 diabetic and reaching out to all of you type 1 diabetics also. So, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to share with us. Join the conversation. You can reach us here in Studio 2 at UBN. The phone number is 323-843-2826. Join the conversation. If you've got something to say, we're here. You can also tweet me or tweet us. Tweet #BeShare Radio. That I know for sure. Now, before we get this show on the road, I want to take a second to acknowledge jazz great and Grammy-winning Wayne Cobham for writing my super duper hero theme song. Thanks, Wayne. And, of course, to Corey Bone of Crown and Acre, who allows me to wear his jewelry in exchange for a promotional mention. I'm mentioning promotionally. Check out Corey on Twitter. If you have problems finding him, go ahead, hit me up at bonnie@bonniesher.com, and I'll make that happen for you. Now, when we come back, a little breaky coming up here, we have, I'm really excited, multi-Grammy time, my goodness, platinum songwriter, and of course that's Marsha Malamet. And Marina Tsaplina is my T1 guest host, so we'll be hearing from Marina a little later. But before you hear from either of these fascinating guests, I have to take a break. I'll be right back.
You know, farmers get to use that drop of rain before anybody else does. But in doing so, we have a responsibility to make sure when that water, if it does leave our farm, leaves it in such a way that it doesn't affect people downstream. You know, we live in a system. You know, the things I do affect people downstream, and everybody along the way has an impact on that. And I guess as a farmer, you know, I feel it's important for me to be aware of that and to do the things I can do to protect that water.
And we're back. I'm going to introduce to you now. She's a dear woman. She's phenomenally talented. I didn't have too much trouble saying that, but it's true. And ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to my first guest, Marsha Malamet. Hi. Hey.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Marsha. Thank you so much for joining me to have a little schmooze here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Believe me, it's truly my pleasure and an honor. So what's going on lately?
Well, this week's been very exciting. Jason Gould's album it's coming out tomorrow.
It
And
is.
I have 4 songs on it. So I'm very psyched about that.
I
And
bet.
that's it. It was produced by Quincy, Jason, and also Stefano Behoff, who was my friend. And Jason, we met at a lecture 6 years ago, and the rest, is history. We started working together, and now the album's coming out, and I'm thrilled.
I'm dying to ask you this. Did Jason's mother have any insights for you, or did she pretty much leave the project alone?
She left it alone.
So a good Jewish son can handle a mother.
Well, Jason told me that when we finished the first batch of songs a couple of years ago, he did play it for his mom, and she was amazed. Of course,
Well, there's
But
there's
he's
a lot of
actually
talent there.
amazing. He's actually that good. So she should be very proud.
Okay, so let me just go over this one more time for our audience. This is, wait till you hear, I know the lingo. It's dropping tomorrow,
Drop.
the 15th, and it is on the Quest label, QWEST, and you have 4 tunes on it. Are they 4 new tunes?
4 new tunes. Yes.
God love you, that's fabulous.
And the title cut, Dangerous Man.
Exciting.
So that's some of what I'm involved with now. And, coming from a baby boomer to all of a sudden at 70 have a record out by Barbra Streisand's son and Quincy Jones is pretty heady.
Really, not too shabby. That's
Not
pretty
too
terrific.
shabby.
Well, talent gets talent,
Yeah.
So may I ask you questions that I have? Have you ever thought if you were not a songwriter? Just assume this for 1 second.
Sure.
What would, and forget age, location, everything is open to you. If you weren't a songwriter, what would you like to do?
I'd be a shrink. I really would.
And what entices?
And all my friends would agree to that.
Huh? You might have another person on your couch. You keep talking like that. But
Yeah.
I could dig that. You could be a shrink. Well, your lyrics.
Well, here's the thing, Bonnie. Let me correct you. I'm a composer. So most of the lyrics that you hear in my songs
I'm so
are not
sorry.
from me.
I'm so
I write the music.
and beautifully, I might add.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Most of the time I'm at the keyboards and I write the chords and arrangements. And when I'm working with just one other person, usually I write the melody. But if it's more than one, if it's 2 people, even 3, I'm the one that's delegated to write the arrangement and the chords at the keyboards. And that's my specialty.
Wow, see? It just amazes me that people have that kind of talent, and when I hear the final product, it's just, And the mood makes the mood. The music creates the mood, and the mood enables the heartbeat. And
Well,
so to have that in your hands is such an incredible gift. And you certainly make the most with your gift. Your songs are beautiful. And
thank you.
yes, audience, I will be playing a song of Marsha's. She's singing on the track, as a matter of fact. Did you do a lot of singing before you became a songwriter?
Yes, back in NYC, I played the cabaret circuit, I played the pop circuit, had a band, and I was a singer-songwriter. But then when I moved here in 91, I decided to concentrate on my songwriting. And from 91 to 2002, 11 years, I did very well. I had a lot of songs recorded by A-listers.
Wow. Speaking of writing, I know that you wrote with the late, great Peter Allen. What was Peter
Yes.
like to work with?
He was a dream come. He was such a doll. He was a class act, a gentleman. And to tell you a little story, the first time I met him, he was staying at the Sunset Marquee, up, above Sunset. It was a hotbed of rock and rollers back in the 60s and 70s. And we met for the first time, and he had a room on the ground floor. And we met at the pool, and he wheeled out a piano with a bottle of champagne and said, "Okay, Marsha, let's get to work." He was so extraordinary. And that was the first time I met him. And then in New York, a couple of years later, I bumped into Michael Callan, who was an AIDS activist. And I met him, I bumped into him on Broadway. And he was just talking to Larry Kramer, who wrote The Normal Heart. And Larry asked him to write that song because, and here's where the world gets smaller. Because Larry just spoke with Barbara Streisand. She was interested in directing it as a film. And Michael, who was a big Barbara fan, asked Larry if he could write the theme song. And he said, "Of course, that's why I called you." So there it is. He bumped into me. He asked me. And that night I was going to Radio City to say hi to Peter because he was singing one of our songs. So I asked Michael if I could ask Peter if we could all write. And of course, again, a week later, it's on the books. We wrote Love Don't Need a Reason.
I just got a whole chill through me. It's a magnificent song, and I think you remember that one of the people who recorded that song, of the many, happens to be a friend of mine, and that's Marie-Anne Marengolo.
I love Marie-Anne. She's a buddy, and
isn't she phenomenal? I mean, as a human and as a presence. Somebody's. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I just kept looking at mine thinking, who would have the nerve to... I only leave the house once a week. Somebody has to talk to me this minute. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Go away.
Yeah. Anyway.
No. That's the first time I heard the songs with Marie-Anne singing it. And it's
she's
so
great.
She has that
great
cry in her voice.
Beautiful.
She's magnificent, and singing one of your tunes. Now that's what you call a hit.
Well, she sung a couple of my songs. Last year, I think she named her show over. It was called Crazy Love.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's one of my songs as well.
Well, Keep writing them because you're just too much, and I look forward to the day that I can be part of that music and listen and enjoy too.
Thank
And
you.
maybe a lunch. You never know.
Well, we're practically neighbors.
Practically.
Well,
I
as
could
long
get
as
even closer. You never know with me.
I'm, you know, I'm shaking here not because I'm nervous or there's an earthquake. I have Lyme disease, and
Well, how long ago did they diagnose you with Lyme's? I'm so sorry to hear that.
yes, 2 years ago. But the curious thing about this version, it presents itself as Parkinsonism. So everyone thinks I have Parkinson's, but it's due to the Lyme disease. So I've been to a couple of doctors and it hasn't, the protocols didn't help. Now I'm on cannabis. And of course, California is a cannabis-friendly state.
You
So
should have just seen all the thumbs that went up here in the studio.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we're having an emotional moment.
Well, come over. We'll have a fun time. No, it's all therapeutic. You don't get high. And
You're
I
talking
just
about the
started it
CBDs.
today, actually.
Well, well, that's because the record drops tomorrow, and you're with me today. So of course you started today.
Of course, a red letter day anyway. But this is sort of a stopgap measure because I found a doctor, this is very interesting, who helped Chris Christopherson. Chris was diagnosed with Alzheimer's years ago. And then, you know, he went to this doctor in Newport Beach and he thought he had Alzheimer's. And this doctor diagnosed him with Lyme disease. It's really insidious, Bonnie. It's like the new AIDS. It's an epidemic. Anyway, Chris followed his protocol or maybe went to another doctor, I don't know. But he finally got the proper diagnosis and now he's touring. So if you find the cause of all these neurodegenerative diseases, you could lick it. And that's what I intend to do. You know, with Lyme, you could get Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, even ALS. It's really, you know, it's a big problem here in the world, actually. So
Well, it's certainly something we haven't really
yeah.
been that aware of. We got a little bit of it from the housewives when
Yes,
David's wife came up.
Yvonne Foster.
That was the one. You know, a lot of the work that I do around here is for diabetes, which is also an insidious disease and has many complications. And, you know, it is more than just taking a pill or a shot.
Of course.
And I totally can understand why you need the numbers to become aware. You know,
Yes.
it seems to me that people who've never been ill don't really get it. Sammy Davis never seemed to understand me and my diabetes. He said, you know, you just gotta buffer up, and it wasn't until he fell ill, not with this cancer, but earlier with the liver disease, that he said to me, Bon, I never got it. You know, and I think that, I mean, God bless everybody who hasn't had anything befall them, but it's those of us who have the mouths and the intelligence to get out. This is what we need to be talking about.
Yes,
You know,
and here's the thing. Most of all these illnesses and diseases are autoimmune.
You're absolutely right.
It's an autoimmune epidemic. And when you go to the cause and not just the symptoms, when you go to the root cause, that's why this doctor I want to go to is a functional medicine doctor. And that's what you go. You go to doctors that don't give you pills as a Band-Aid. You go to find what's really the origin of the illness, and that's what I plan to do. Anyway, could I give my website and my crowdfunding?
How did you happen to know that was the next thing on my script? Are you
Because I'm psychic.
I say I'm psychotic, but I got you. Please do. Let our audience know how they can follow you, how they may support you. I'll follow up in my social media, and I'll take it all down from what you have to say now, so that if there is anybody, unfortunately, who doesn't see the show, I don't understand that at all, but we'll keep it going on my sites. So tell us about that, please.
Well, my website is marshamalamet.com, MarshaMalammet, Malamet. And you'll find everything about me on there. And then I have a crowdfunding campaign for all my treatments, and that is www.wecaring, one word, WECARING, wecaring.com/Malamet. So that's wecaring.com/Malamet. And, the other curious thing is that doctors, all the doctors that I went to, I had to go out of pocket. They don't have insurance for this thing. And that's what, if you read up on Lyme on the internet, there's a big wave of it's a disaster. No doctors are, we're not insured. So there's a lot of crowdfunding campaigns to deal with people that can't afford. It's immense, but I'm very lucky that I am a better person when this came to me. I changed my whole life, but most especially was my emotional life, because this made me a better person.
Personally, I think you're pretty terrific, and I'm happy that you're happier, but I can't imagine. You're just phenomenal, and I wish you every good thing. Every good thing.
Thank you. And let me give a very, a shameless plug. Here's Jason's record.
I love shameless plugs.
Here it is.
It's a shame he isn't adorable, too.
He's adorable. And wait to hear his voice.
Well, it'll be tomorrow.
He will not disappoint. His voice is from heaven. He's so good. And a great guy, too. So I'm very honored.
And he's very smart to want to work with you. I mean, just saying.
Well, it was all God's plan. I believe that.
I do believe in that as well.
Because we met at a lecture, Marianne Williamson lecture, and both Jason and I know her. She's phenomenal. And we met there, and I saw him, I shook his hand. I said, "Your mother recorded my song when I mentioned my name." He said, "Oh, I know." And we started chatting, and P.S., we started working together. So thank you, Marianne Williamson, who is the lecturer of A Course in Miracles. She's brilliant.
That's what I've heard. I've never been to hear her speak, but friends of mine are absolutely delighted and devotees of what. I mean, I've read some of her work, but
she's the real deal. Anyway, thank you.
All right, well, you take good care, and we're going to see you really soon. So please, let's all put our hands together and say thank you to Mary. All right, I'll pull this out. The woman's name is Marsha Malamet, and I just stumbled right over it. But thank you. We'll see you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just had my teeth fixed. I can't do a thing with them. I don't know. Okay, I sort of went right through I forgot to take a break. And so what do you think we should do now? Should we just go ahead with those ads? It's up to me? Oh, well, let's do that while I figure this out. Okay, we're going to do some ads. We'll be back.
You have plans, moments you're looking forward to. What if they were stolen from you by Alzheimer's? Every 71 seconds, someone develops this cruel disease, even affecting people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. The Alzheimer's Association is taking action and has been a part of every major advancement. But we won't rest until we have a cure. You have plans. Help the Alzheimer's Association protect them. To learn more, go to alz.org.
In Kung Fu Panda 3, it's up to Po, that's me, to save my friends in a secret panda paradise. And I, Jack Black, am trying to save real pandas, but I can't do it all by myself. That's why I'm teaming up with my awesome buddies at WWF.
Really?
They love pandas so much, their logo is a panda. Did you know there are fewer than 2,000 giant pandas left in the wild? They face a number of threats to their bamboo forest home, which is one of the many awesome things WWF is working to protect. But they need our help. Visit WWF online to learn more.
Good luck to you.
You, Po, and WWF, together, we can make a difference.
And we're back one more time. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the important work of the Diabetes Research Institute and to encourage you, maybe, to support their efforts. You can visit them online at diabetesresearch.org. Our song of the day is coming up next, right after this next break.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
If your heart always did what a normal heart should do, if you always play a part instead of being who you really are, then you might just miss the one who's standing there. So instead of passing by, show them that you care. Instead of asking why me and why you, why not we too? 'Cause love don't need a reason. Love don't always run. And love is all we have for now. What we don't have is time. If we always believe all the madness that we're taught, never questioning the rules, then we're living lies we bought so long ago. How are they to know it's not who's wrong or right? It's just another way, and it's not about a fight. It's just I wanna stay
Excuse me. That, of course, was Marsha Malamet singing her song, Love Don't Have a Reason. Magnificent. Welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life. My co-host for this segment is Marina Tsaplina, a member of the T1D, Type 1 Diabetes community from the great state of New York. Welcome, Marina.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. I was listening to Sammy Davis in preparation for our conversation.
Any old time, I'm always a proponent of that. But let's talk about you. I mean, between the Beatties organization and your travels and your work in advocacy, and by the way, happening to have, and be a type 1, which, as far as I'm concerned, that's the whole life right there. I don't know how I even have time to go to work. It's a very busy schedule. So how do you make it work?
Well, I guess I can maybe rewind just a little bit to kind of give some context. So I'm an artist and a puppeteer, and I have joined what I view as my artist voice with my patient voice. So in that, I become very clear at articulating what it means to live in a body that in some way isn't working the way it should, right? And so I really, that's really the heart of all of my artistic work. So I really have to balance my energy, and be very clear about what my needs are.
Let me just ask you one question right there. When you're talking about balancing your energy, is that something that you have, that's just sort of you placed in your mind now? Or do you have, in essence, tricks that you might use to help you in those balances? Or is it so inside of you now that it kind of flows on your own?
That would be nice if it was.
I'm just trying to let our listeners and viewers know that if you put in the work that Marina puts in, then you get that result out. It's not like baking a cake. You need to do.
Not. If biology was like baking a cake, I think we would all be masterful. We'd all have our own bakeries. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
No, the body is unpredictable. Biology is unpredictable. The emotional life that lives intertwined with the body.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing has been me learning and coming to articulate really the kind of richness in a way of that process.
May I ask how long you've been a diabetic?
Yeah, since I was 2 years old.
All right, so this is the life you've known.
Yes, there was never a before and after for me. How about you, Bonnie? When were you diagnosed?
When I was 15.
That's a hard time to be.
Well, it was a whole social thing going on. We weren't allowed to date yet, but we could go out in groups. And everybody was enjoying, a cheeseburger, chocolate shake, and fries, while I consumed my green salad with 0-calorie dressing. Big whoop. But that was all. That was the only. And we of course didn't have any of the wonderful things that they have now. We did have disposable needles, but I can remember boiling my syringes, and there was no way to test your blood. It was all done with the urine and schlepping the urine to the doctor, which I almost every time dropped the bottle on my way. You just can't cry over spilt urine.
I just put a little extra pizzazz to the whole thing, right?
So you were telling me that you've been traveling. What you been doing?
Yeah, I just came back late last night from Duke University, So there is a growing field in healthcare and medicine called the medical humanities, and it's about bringing in arts and humanities work into medicine, in part because of the crisis of the human spirit being left out of the healthcare exchange. So I have to say I can't talk a lot about what's happening, but a lot is happening.
When it happens, then you'll come back and you'll tell us all about it, right?
Give me a few months.
Haven't you heard how patient I am? Not. But I think my friends are all laughing in the studio here. Quietly, but they're laughing on the inside. Oh, Chris, you don't know me yet. Wait. Oh, God, I love a laugher. Well, your work, tell us also, I know about the Beatties group that you started. Would you let anybody who doesn't know the Beatties.org and what you provide there and why it's important to stay on top of what you've got to say, too, in the format that you say it? Da-da-da. Don't make me move my neck.
So what we do at the Beatties is we basically create beautiful theatrical work that stages the hidden aspects of living with chronic illness. Because as you probably know, there is a gap between those who live with something and those who care for something, and then those who are friends with those who live with a something. But honestly, what it really started with is me realizing that the imagination has a huge force to play in how we understand our own lives with a chronic health condition. And I asked myself if I could fully imagine and give form and voice to my illness experience and be in a conversation with it and then share that conversation with every audience, what would happen? What would that do? And the answer is what we found over 4 years worth of work and over 60 programs, from young children to families to caregivers to adults with type 1 to healthcare providers, is that it does a lot. In part because we still, as a patient body, patient community, in many ways lack the language to really express these things that are very difficult to communicate. And there is a real still oppression and suppression and the term ableism, that these are forces that act upon us. So the work is really about strengthening the patient voice, giving expression to these complex emotions that live intertwined, in our life, and giving permission for that to come out. And then also actually really strengthening the connection between healthcare providers and patients, because that is the heart of healthcare, and that's the part that's the most fragile and under threat right now. So, and we use a really unique medium that means a lot to me, which is puppetry. But I know typically American audiences think puppetry, this must be for kids like Sesame Street, But again, about, I would say 60% of my work is with adults. And we use sophisticated puppets that can do a lot. So that's a bit of the work.
Well, that's some bullets you got there. Boy, keep us informed. Let us know how you're doing. And you don't need me to agree with you, but I think the things that you're talking about, and again, I'm going on year 50 now. I've never really seen anything so patient-centric. There was a big balloon of, you take this much insulin, or you bolus this to cover this. But I remember one time asking, how do you bolus for crazy? Okay, you're upset, and you've noticed in your past, no matter if you've been a T1 for a year or for 75 years, that emotions do offset and can upset the glucose. But how do you know how crazy you're going to get? I mean, it's like maybe you're eating a small turkey dinner, so you start out, and then you realize that you have consumed the entire dinner, and so you're just adding. But with crazy, I don't know when that peak is going to be. But that is something, and I think the more that we accept the fact that there are a lot of emotional actions that we go through, and I don't mean to be sexist, but I will. I think that women have a bit of an easier time because we're more aware of our feelings. You know, women think, men feel. Rarely will you hear a man say, well, I feel that such and such. They'll say, I think. I thought I turned you off once.
I silenced my phone. I listened to your instructions. Well, but I think part of that, what that touches on is the cultural aspect, which is that, men really need the permission and to not feel like their manliness will be taken away from them by showing their vulnerability. I mean, we have the heart of our congressional party at the moment pretending like climate change isn't real, which is really refusing to admit that you're vulnerable, that we are all vulnerable, that bodies break, the earth can break. Yes, the mountain can shatter, the house can fall down. Accept that reality. Yeah. Our lives are fragile and resilient at the same time. Both of those
That
things
is
are
so powerful. I'm telling you, I have goosebumps from you, Marina. Do you agree? I mean, that is so very powerful. And it's not that it's complex, but I think you just showed us all a great light. And so I thank you for that, because I know you just showed me one. That's absolutely true.
Well, I'm gonna get some of your goosebumbles. I think you should package that as a soda and sell it.
If I could, Marina, we will. I'll come to New York. We'll start a new business.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Now, before we let you go, can you please share with the audience how they can follow you? And I know you're on Facebook. Tell us about your website also. I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually just going to give a quick call to action, which is today the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, I believe, voted to overturn net neutrality. Which
I heard that.
That internet service providers can begin to block your access to certain information online. This has never happened in the history of the internet. This is a critical phase. We need everybody to be calling Congress. Calling Congress in large numbers really does work. So we need to keep calling, especially if you're in the red states. They need to hear from you. Say how much the diabetes online community matters to you, how you are, how you use it for your support and well-being, and that the diabetes online community depends on a free and open internet. That is, the two are not mutually exclusive. So we need people to call Congress today, tomorrow, because the vote took place, but Congress can shift direction on it. So aside from that,
no, that's I know. I heard that this morning before I came in, and
and I wrote an article on Diabetes Mind about it that gives a bit more context, so I can share the link. Maybe if that'd be helpful.
Sure.
Then the BD's website is www.thebetes.org. And we are at the BD's.org. And you can always email me at marina@thebetes.org.
Fabulous. Well, you take great care. And I look forward to talking to you again through. We
gotta connect next time I'm in LA.
Say it again.
We gotta connect next time when I'm in LA.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that because it's too cold in New York for me now. Okay, I'm a wussy. I don't ever need to slip on ice again as long as I live. I don't find it amusing. And of course, because I love New York so much, it's like, gee, what else can you find to put in your way so you don't go back to the city? But you're a totally different inducement to get me back. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Marina, thank you so much for taking your time today. And we'll catch up with you soon. And if any of our fellow Type 1s would like to be my co-host for a segment of the show, it's very simple. Email me. Okay? Bonnie@bonniesher.com, and we'll get a date. It's just that easy. Okay, then. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to take one more break here, and we're going to be talking about Quest Diagnostics, baby boomers, why you need to be tested for hepatitis C. Go ahead.
I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a social worker. When I found out that I had hepatitis C, I was a single mother, and I was absolutely terrified.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, estimates there are close to 3 million baby boomers infected with hepatitis C. Because there can be no symptoms for decades, most don't even know it. But if detected in time, hep C can be cured, and the treatment is simple.
Today I feel great. I'm a healthy 65-year-old. I bike to work. I go to the gym, and I've cleared the virus.
The CDC is urging everybody born between 1945 and 1965 to get tested. It's an easy one-time blood test that may be covered by insurance.
I got a disease that could have killed me, but I saved my own life by getting tested.
Don't wait. Ask your doctor about getting tested for hep C, because knowing is everything.
And now for all my boomers out there, today's boomer news comes to us from Pfizer. And it's called New Attitude.
Patti LaBelle is looking for backup singers, 65 and older, who boom.
I'm so excited. I mean, just to sing one note in front of Patti, it's just like, I'm done. That's it. I'm good. Hi, Patti.
Hi, sweetie.
I am such a big fan of yours.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Well, right now, girl, you better sing. Terry, cue it up, baby.
What the singers don't know is that we rigged the microphone so it sounds like they have pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious but vaccine-preventable disease.
I'm feeling good from my hat to my shoes. Know where I'm going and I know what to do. I tidied up my point of view.
I'm in control of my ways of you. 'Cause I got love like I never knew.
Then, Patti let the singers in on it.
I got you.
Even if you're healthy, pneumococcal pneumonia can strike anywhere, anytime, and keep you from doing the things you love.
I'm feeling good from my head to my shoes. Know where I'm going and I know what to do.
If you're 65 or older, even if you're healthy, get a new attitude about the risks of pneumococcal pneumonia and talk to your doctor about the importance of vaccination.
Oh, I forgot, wrong show. Okay. Excuse me. I sound like I have pneumococcal myself. But I had my vaccine, so I know I don't have it. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, which are the views from my soapbox, which is my take on who I think gets it right and who I think should just be terribly ashamed. So my shout out this week is to the firefighters here in Southern California and everywhere, but especially to the men and women who put their lives on the line, and it's their selfish dedication and unwavering commitment to do what they think they should be doing. And so it's their commitment to service. Bless them all. Now, my shout down is pretty much about who I think should be ashamed. And what a surprise that my shout out today is to Big Pharma. Apparently, there is a company you might know called Pharma, or a group, and they have recently filed suit against Governor Jerry Brown of California, who just signed into law SB 17, which places caps on drugs prices and asks for transparency in pricing. And of course, they want to shoot that down, and so a lawsuit has been filed. We'll be watching that closely. But before we say goodbye, I'd really like to thank my guests today, Marsha Malamet and Marina Tsaplina. Yeah. And I really do. I'll get my tongue working by next week, and I really do hope you all stop back and spend another 50 minutes going through the land of, well, Bonnie and boomers and the type 1 community. And until then, please visit bonniesher.com, or you can follow the number 1 Bonnie Sher on Twitter. And one more thing, if you wouldn't mind, give a like to the Bonnie Sings Lena Facebook page. Facebook fan page. A fifth. Oh, yeah. Somebody's calling to tell me what to do. I'm so pleased when that happens. In any case, goodbye. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Mwah. Goodbye. See you next week.